Hey everybody, welcome to First Friday Lunch. Although, as I'm sure you've probably noticed, it's not lunchtime, at least not where I am. It's dark, and this is pre recorded because on First Friday Lunch, my sister will be visiting. So, if I can get away and record that day, I will. If I cannot, this is the recording you get. Me, fresh out of the shower, trying to record before my sister arrives. So, here we go. Anyway, the topic for this month is actually writer's block. I don't know how many people have been experiencing this, but it seems to be almost a common phenomenon where we started out quarantine with some sense of being able to get things done, get things accomplished if we were working from home because we didn't have all these distractions of going out and those sorts of things. But I've noticed even for myself, I was fairly productive in the first month of quarantine, but the last 2 weeks, as you know, summer has inched closer and spring has passed us by, and we started quarantine in winter really here where I live in North Dakota. I think that I don't know if it became overwhelming or it became stifling or what it was, but it was something in the air really in the last 2 weeks that for me even changed where I experienced writer's block. And I don't think it's writer's block in the sense that writer's block, I just look at it as something that we have to call this thing that we're experiencing, whether it's because of stress or whether it's because of, we don't know where our story's going. But I think right now, the entire nation and even the world is under a tremendous amount of stress. And even if you don't feel it directly, like I didn't initially because we live in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I live 30 miles from the nearest town. I don't have neighbors because I live on a farm. So I don't think it affected my day-to-day routine. And in some ways, I became more productive because there was less distractions of going out to dinner or going out to lunch or running errands or anything like that because you kind of hunkered down where you were, if you will, and stayed the course. But then recently, I think as summer kind of peaked its head and I watched festivals get canceled and book signings get canceled and this sense of we hadn't even returned to the new normal yet. It became a little stressful, And then on top of that, I have one book out on submission, and with every rejection that comes in, I wonder if I'm on the right path, at least with that book, or if I should scrap it and start something new. And I did do that. I started writing a Regency, which is new for me. And still a little stressful because it's a genre I haven't written in. And then also I'm working on this contemporary series, which hasn't been as distracting, like not being able to find where I'm writing or find the characters, but I haven't been able to get words on the page as well as I should. And I sort of know the plot. So it's what's blocking me. Why am I unable to do that? So I think during this time, I think that it kind of goes back to, was it March? I think it was March where we talked about self-care, and I'll see if I can find that video and link it below. But I think that if you are experiencing writer's block and you're unable to be creative, I think that we just need to pause. Just stop. Stop writing if you're unable to. I mean, I think if you force it, it's not going to work well. This may depend on what kind of writer you are. Some people can trudge right through it, no problems. They can accept that maybe they aren't the best words on the page, but they're able to go back and edit it later. I can do that to some extent, and maybe that's what I had done in the early weeks of quarantine, but these recent weeks have been far too difficult for me for a variety of reasons. So, and quarantine not being one of them, I've got some family issues as well. So, with my mother. So I think this whole thing of just being in this is difficult. And so it's hard to put words on the page. And I've also noticed too, when I did those early weeks, I tend to be more productive before 3 o'clock. Once 3 o'clock rolls around, it's hard. It's like that. That was like I was like that when I actually had a 9 to 5 job too. It was difficult for me to stay focused after 3 o'clock. Um, yeah, and I think that like Snickers had a commercial about it too, where something about 3 o'clock, whatever time zone you're in, those last 2 hours of work, and even when I started writing here, I was fairly productive up until that point, so I could always stop. But these last 2 weeks, even if I get my morning pages done by 2, which has happened a couple times, that's, and then I can't be productive. And then I feel like I lost the whole day and I kind of get depressed and I go into this spin out. And so it happens to everybody. So I'm taking a week off. My sister's coming to town. We kind of had this planned earlier and then quarantine, and we've lifted a little bit in this state. So she's coming for a visit, and we're going to just kind of hang out and talk and do all the things that sisters do. Hopefully not fight. Although we were never much of fighting sisters. I know there's like a whole sibling rivalry thing, and we were never like that. So, and if we were, it was like hours, not days, weeks, or even whatever. Hey, cat. Oh, dogs. Sorry. Hold on. Ooh. There. I just paused it so you guys didn't have to listen to the dogs. But so some things that I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break. For me, it's going to be a whole week. The other thing that's going to happen is June 4th will be my husband's birthday, so we'll probably celebrate that as well. And then we'll just kind of hang out, and I think we're going to go down to the lake cabin and do some cleaning and stuff and prep that for my dad. And I think that I'm going to take that time, and then I'm going to kind of get back to where I need to be. I kind of set a deadline for myself on this Regency book, so I'll see how many words I have to get in before my self-imposed deadline, and hopefully I can get back on track after taking a break. So if you're experiencing writer's block, I would say take a break. Take a rest from that story. I don't take a break from writing altogether, but usually if I'm working on a project and I'm blocked, I will take a break from that project. So I would say go ahead and do that. I hope that you guys can all find the words. Just give yourself some time, because this is just difficult. And I think that we're all feeling the stress of the world. The day I recorded this is a couple days after Minneapolis had all their fires. So I think there's just a tremendous amount of stress and pain in the world right now that it's just going to take time for everybody to heal. So I think that we need to take pause on that. We need to take a break from things. And I think that we do need to spend time with our loved ones online, in person if you're able. Give somebody a call, talk on the phone, and talk through these problems. Call your family and friends. And I think when we talk about it, as much as I hate to talk about it because it causes me a tremendous amount of stress to talk about all of this stuff, people need to. And I understand that. And when I'm on calls with people who need to talk about it, I understand that they need to vent before they can do anything creative. That's just how the world works. If you're stressed, you need to talk about it. You need to get those things out. That's what I'm probably going to do this next week with my sister. We're going to talk and bitch and complain and, in the way that only two sisters can. So, that'll be really, I think, in a lot of ways therapeutic for me. So I will be able to get back on the page after she goes home, after my new normal comes back, where I'm writing in the mornings, right before business starts up after the 4th of July for us. But any words are good words. So that's the other takeaway is if you write 20 words a day, it's 20 words you've written, and you don't have to write tomorrow. They haven't been put off. So, day by day, take it day by day. And honestly, I think if people don't feel like writing, you shouldn't sit down to write. It's hard. You got to kind of be in the right headspace. Some people will find it very therapeutic to write. They'll find it a great form of escapism. Other people view it as sort of a spiritual event where they need like the perfect time, the perfect setting. They need, music and candles and scents and the right light. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a perfectly fine way to write. You just need to be able to take advantage of it when those things happen. But when it comes to writer's block, it's different things for different people. And I know when I asked people about this particular subject on the Facebook group, there were a lot of people that, they just talked about how hard it was during quarantine to write. And I think there's an expectation that it's going to be easy because some people don't have their full-time jobs to go to. And some people took advantage of that because they were able to, and they're just in a different headspace than other people. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just we all have different headspaces. We're different people. We experience different things. We're in different parts of the country, different parts of the world. We're different ages. Everything is different. So I think if you can get through it and you've managed to write the words and you've been able to stay on the page this whole time during quarantine, congratulations. You have got some wonderful tools that you're going to be able to carry forward in other crises in your life that will be helpful. And if you weren't, that's okay. Maybe you were like me and you did write part of it and the rest of it you weren't able to. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So I would just say take a break. And I'll see you guys next month on the first Friday. Pencil me in.